She thought I'd never check her glove compartment until I found a necklace with another man's initials. That night, I left it on her pillow with a note. You left this in your car. Hope he treats you better than I did. I'm Mark, and I've been with Sarah for 10 years. We live in a quiet suburb of Chicago, in a modest house we've made our own. Our life together seemed solid. We had our routines, our inside jokes, and a shared history I thought was unbreakable. Sarah works as a marketing manager for a firm downtown. Her job demands long hours and occasional business trips, but I trusted her. I work as an IT consultant, often from home, which gives me the flexibility to manage household chores and be there when Sarah needs me. Our relationship had its ups and downs, like any marriage, but we always found our way back to each other. Or so I believed. It started on a chilly November evening. Sarah had just returned from a 3-day conference in New York. She seemed distant, but I attributed it to exhaustion. Wanting to do something nice, I decided to clean out her car, something I'd often do as a small gesture. As I was vacuuming the passenger side, I noticed the glove compartment was slightly ajar. Thinking nothing of it, I opened it to organize its contents. Amidst the usual clutter of napkins, old receipts, and manuals, a small velvet box caught my eye. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened the box to find a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like the letter J. My heart skipped a beat. My mind raced with questions. Who was J? Why was this hidden here? I decided not to jump to conclusions. Maybe it was a gift for me, though my name doesn't start with J. Perhaps it was for a friend or a relative. I placed the box back and finished cleaning the car, all the while battling the storm of thoughts in my head. That night, as Sarah slept beside me, I couldn't find rest. The necklace haunted my thoughts. I needed answers. The following day, I decided to do some digging. I started with our shared computer. Sarah and I respected each other's privacy, but desperation pushed me to cross that line. I searched her emails, her messages, anything that could shed light on the mysterious necklace. That's when I found them. Emails and messages exchanged with someone named Jason. The conversations were flirtatious, filled with inside jokes and plans to meet up. My heart sank. The timestamps coincided with her recent trip to New York. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness, but I needed more evidence before confronting her. Over the next few days, I observed Sarah closely. She was often on her phone, smiling at messages and being secretive about her plans. She mentioned new friends from the conference, but her stories lacked the usual enthusiasm. One evening, she announced she had a late meeting and would be home late. My instincts told me otherwise. I decided to follow her. She drove to a cozy cafe downtown, one we used to frequent during our dating days. I parked a few spots away and watched as she entered. Moments later, a man joined her at the table. They hugged, and the familiarity between them was evident. I snapped a few photos with my phone, my hands trembling. This was the confirmation I dreaded. That night, I couldn't hold it in any longer. As Sarah prepared for bed, I placed the velvet box on her pillow with a note. You left this in your car. Hope he treats you better than I did. She read the note, her face turning pale. Tears welled up in her eyes. Mark, I can explain, she began. Explain what, Sarah? That you've been seeing someone else. That you've been lying to me. My voice was a mix of hurt and anger. She broke down, confessing that she met Jason at the conference. They connected over shared interests, and one thing led to another. She claimed it was a mistake, that she never intended to hurt me. But the damage was done. We decided to take some time apart. I moved in with a friend while Sarah stayed at the house. We attended counseling sessions separately, trying to make sense of everything. Months passed, and the pain slowly dulled, but the trust was shattered. We attempted reconciliation, but things were never the same. Eventually, we decided to part ways amicably. Looking back, I realized that trust is the foundation of any relationship. Once broken, it's challenging to rebuild. If you're reading this and have suspicions about your partner, trust your instincts but seek the truth with caution. And if you're the one straying, remember the pain it can cause to someone who loves you deeply. Life goes on, and wounds heal, but the scars remain as reminders of lessons learned the hard way. I moved out. Stayed at my buddy Chris's place on the north side. Small 2-bedroom apartment, barely enough space for both of us, but I needed out. I couldn't look at Sarah without feeling like I'd been hit by a train. I wasn't sleeping much, barely eating. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped, hoping it wasn't her, and somehow still hoping it was. About a week into staying with Chris, she started texting again. Not just "I'm sorry" type texts. Long ones. Pages. Like she was trying to pour everything out at once. She said she cut things off with Jason, said it meant nothing, that it was a stupid mistake made in a lonely city. Said she missed me, needed me. I didn't reply at first, just stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then something changed. Chris came home one night, dropped his keys, and said, "Man, you sure your wife's really done with that guy?" I looked up from the couch, kind of stunned. "What are you talking about?" He hesitated, then pulled up his phone, opened Facebook. There it was, Sarah, tagged in a photo at some art gallery downtown. I didn't even know she liked art. Jason was in the picture too, arm draped around the back of her chair, not quite touching, but close enough. The caption? "Incredible night with this one." I felt sick. I hadn't even replied to her last message yet. She said she ended it, that she wanted to work it out. The next day, I drove back to the house while she was at work. I still had a key. I wasn't planning anything dramatic. I just wanted to get more of my stuff. Maybe grab some photos. Something to hold on to. But when I walked into the bedroom, I noticed something odd. The velvet necklace box I'd left on the pillow that night was gone. In its place was a different box. A gift box from a high-end men's clothing store downtown. Inside was a designer tie. Price tag still attached. Next to it, a sticky note. Dinner tomorrow? That's when I knew. Jason wasn't a fling. He wasn't some emotional support she found on a trip. She had plans with this guy. They had momentum. I stood in the room for a while. Not crying. Just numb. Everything felt like a dream I wasn't in control of. I packed what I could, quietly, and left. 2 days later, she showed up at Chris's place. I hadn't told her where I was. No idea how she found out. She knocked, and I answered. She looked tired. Hair pulled back. No makeup. She wasn't trying to look perfect. She just looked wrecked. I need to talk, she said. Chris was already halfway out the door to give us space. I let her in, sat on the edge of the couch. She stayed standing. I lied, she said. I didn't stop seeing him. I tried. I wanted to. But he kept reaching out and I didn't try hard enough to stop it. I nodded slowly, still processing. But it's over now, she said. I swear it's over. I told him yesterday. For real. I didn't want to lose you, Mark. I looked her in the eye. Then why the gift? Why the tie? Her face went pale again. I was going to ask you to dinner. To talk. To apologize. I never gave him a gift. That stopped me cold. Then who's it from? She didn't answer. I picked up my phone and called the store. Gave them the gift tag ID. Asked who bought it. They told me it was purchased online. Picked up in store. Under the name Jason Langley. Her face told me everything. I stood up, grabbed my keys. You weren't going to dinner with me, Sarah. No, Mark, please. I didn't know. He did it without me knowing. I left before she finished. Back in the car, I sat there for a long time. Hands on the wheel, staring out the windshield. My marriage wasn't just breaking, it had shattered in slow motion. I wasn't even angry anymore. Just exhausted. And then the twist. A week later, I got a message from someone I didn't know. A woman named Vanessa. She said, I think my boyfriend's been seeing your wife. His name's Jason. We need to talk. What was this now? Another piece of the puzzle I hadn't seen coming. I messaged back. Name's Mark. We should definitely talk. The story wasn't done. Not even close. Vanessa and I met 2 days later at a quiet coffee shop near Wicker Park. She looked as tired as I felt. Mid-30s, sharp eyes, hands clenched around a cup of tea like she was holding herself together. We sat down, exchanged awkward hellos, then got straight to the point. I've been with Jason for 5 years, she said. We lived together. Or we did. Until I found receipts. Hotel stays in New York. 1 dinner reservation under your wife's name. At first, I thought maybe it was a business thing. But then I found messages. He didn't bother to hide them that well. I just stared. My stomach was turning again. When was the last time they saw each other? Last week, she said. He told me he was going to Minneapolis for work. But I tracked his location. He was here, in Chicago. At some apartment building downtown. Unit 5C. Same one I found on a rent payment receipt, addressed to Sarah. I blinked. Wait. Sarah rented an apartment. Vanessa nodded. Looks like she's had it for 2 months. That hit harder than anything before. Sarah hadn't just cheated. She hadn't just lied. She'd built a whole other life. A place he could go. A place they could be together without me. I couldn't stop shaking. Why are you telling me this? Vanessa looked me dead in the eye. Because I thought I was crazy. He made me feel like I was paranoid. Delusional. Gaslit me for months. When I saw that note you left in her car, I realized I wasn't alone. He's not just cheating. He's doing this on purpose. Manipulating both of us. She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo. Jason and Sarah, taken just 3 weeks ago. Smiling. Her hand on his chest. His arm wrapped around her waist. That wasn't the worst part. Behind them, barely noticeable in the background, was the exact same tie. The one I found in the box. He was wearing it. So he wasn't trying to get Sarah back. He never left. He was showing off. I went home that night. Well, to Chris's, and poured myself a drink for the first time in years. I stared at the wall, thinking about the past few months, realizing how much of it had been a lie. She had an apartment. A secret life. She told me she wanted to fix our marriage while making dinner reservations with him the next day. The next morning, I called Sarah. I need to see the apartment, I said. She hesitated. Why? I know about it. I know everything. Either you let me in, or I show up with a locksmith. Silence. Then she sighed. Okay. Tomorrow. 6 p.m. I showed up early. Waited in the car outside. I saw her arrive 10 minutes late, looking nervous, fidgety. She buzzed me in, and we took the elevator up in silence. When she opened the door, my heart dropped. It looked like a second home. Not just a place to crash. Framed photos. Throw pillows. A set of wine glasses I'd given her on our anniversary replaced. And in the kitchen, on the counter, was a key fob with Jason's initials engraved on it. I was going to tell you, she whispered. Eventually. I didn't say anything. He pressured me into it, she went on. Said he'd leave Vanessa. That he wanted something real. I didn't know what I was doing, Mark. I was confused. I picked up the key fob. Turned it over in my hand. You weren't confused. You were living a whole different life. That takes planning. Then I walked into the bedroom. On the dresser was a photo. Not of her and Jason. Of her and another man. A different one. You could tell it was recent. They were on a boat. Lake Michigan in the background. He had salt and pepper hair. Dressed nice. Expensive watch. Maybe early 50s. I turned to her. Who's this? She looked like she'd just been hit. He's nobody. Try again. She sank onto the bed. Face in her hands. His name is Warren. He's my boss. From the firm. My brain shut down for a second. So you're telling me there's another guy? She nodded slowly. It started before Jason. It was supposed to end. But he's helping with the rent here. I didn't want to lose the place. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. It was either that or scream. So Jason thinks he's the only one. You told me you wanted to fix our marriage. And all the while your boss is funding your apartment so you can keep cheating on both of us. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I walked out. Got into the elevator. The walls felt like they were closing in. Every second felt like a punch to the chest. This wasn't just betrayal. It was layers of betrayal stacked on top of each other like some sick joke. Back in the car, I called Vanessa again. You're not going to believe this, I said. Her response? I might. Because I just found out Jason has a kid. A toddler. With another woman. There was a long silence between us. Both of us realizing we'd been pulled into something far deeper than we thought. And neither of us had reached the bottom yet. The next week was a blur. I barely slept. I kept seeing that photo in my head. Sarah with some guy I'd never even heard of, Warren, just laughing on a boat like none of this was happening. Then there was Jason, still thinking he was the only one, buying her ties and planning gallery dates, clueless that he was being played too. And Vanessa, she had her own pile of lies to dig through. A toddler? A whole other family? It felt like all of us were walking through the same fire, just from different directions. That's when I made the decision. I called Vanessa. We need to bring them together, I said. All three of them. You, me, Sarah, Jason, and Warren if he shows. She hesitated. You sure? No, I said. But I'm doing it anyway. Vanessa and I planned everything down to the minute. We picked a restaurant with a private room, nothing fancy, just quiet. Neutral ground. Vanessa would bring Jason. I'd bring Sarah. Warren. We weren't sure. But I told her to mention a business dinner and see if he took the bait. He did. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Everyone showed. Vanessa and Jason walked in first. Jason looked confused. Nervous. Probably didn't expect to see me sitting at the table. Then Sarah arrived. I was darting around the room like a trapped animal. She saw me. Then Jason. Then Vanessa. Her face fell. And just behind her, Warren strolled in, buttoning his suit jacket like this was any other night. Surprise, I said quietly. We all sat. For a minute, nobody spoke. Then Jason looked at Sarah. What the hell is going on? Vanessa answered. You're not the only one she's been seeing. Warren, meet your competition. Jason turned to Sarah, mouth open. You told me you ended it with him. Sarah didn't answer. She was pale. Frozen. I laid it out. The necklace in your glove box? Jason. The apartment? Paid for by Warren. And all this time, you were telling me you wanted to fix our marriage. Jason stood up. You used me. Warren just leaned back in his chair. Calm. Like he'd seen this play before. She told me you two were separated, he said to me. Said I was the only one. I paid rent to help her get out of a bad marriage. That's what she told me. Is that so? I asked. And the boat trip? Was that part of the rescue plan? Warren looked like he'd swallowed something bitter. Jesus, Sarah. Vanessa was glaring at Jason now. And what about the kid, huh? You gonna tell them about her? That got everyone's attention. Jason looked shocked. Vanessa, don't, she cut him off. You've got a daughter. 2 years old. You've been lying to me, to Sarah, probably to everyone. You're not the only one who's been played, but you sure as hell weren't innocent either. Silence again. The air felt like it could snap. Then Sarah spoke. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. She was crying now, hands shaking. I was lost. I didn't feel like myself. Mark, we were already drifting. Jason gave me attention. Warren gave me stability. I didn't know what I wanted, so I took from all of you. Jason walked out first. Didn't say another word. Just stormed off, shoving a chair out of his way. Vanessa stood and threw her napkin down. You disgust me, she said to Jason as he walked past, then to Sarah. And you. I hope it was worth it. She followed Jason out. Warren looked at Sarah, then at me. I'm not paying another cent for that apartment, he said calmly, and then he left too. Just me and Sarah now. She looked like a ghost. Mascara running down her face, hands in her lap, twisting her fingers. I never wanted to hurt you. I shook my head. You didn't just hurt me. You erased me. You lived a full life with other people and told me we were healing. She sobbed harder. I'm sorry. I believe you, I said. But it doesn't change anything. I stood, walked out without another word. That night I sat in the park outside Chris's place, thinking about everything. I wasn't angry. I wasn't numb either. I felt something unexpected. Peace. Not because things were okay, but because it was over. I didn't go back to Sarah. I filed for divorce a week later. Vanessa and I stayed in touch for a bit. Just occasional texts. No romance. Just two people who survived the same storm. Sarah sent a few emails over the months. Apologies. Updates. She said she was going to therapy. Said she was alone now. I didn't reply. Sometimes I still think about that night. The look on her face when everyone walked in. The way the truth hit the room like a grenade. I think that was the moment I stopped loving her. We didn't reconcile. There was no big moment of forgiveness or starting over. The damage was too deep. Trust, once shattered that completely, doesn't grow back. But I didn't leave bitter. I left clear. I learned what betrayal feels like. I learned how many lies can fit into a single life. And I learned that sometimes walking away isn't weakness, it's self-respect. I don't know what the future holds. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid of it.